Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello and welcome to the 37th episode of the Extreme Sports Performance Podcast. My name's Ryan Blake, I'm the founder and director of Extreme Sports Performance. In this episode we're speaking to Kealan McLaughlin. Kealan is a professional ballet dancer from Canada. We ask him the questions we ask all our guests. Who he is, what he does, where has he come from and what has he done along the way, what are the key moments from his career so far, what are his top areas of interest, what are the most valuable things he's learnt, who are his top influencers, what are his top resources for information, what are his top performance exercises and or drills, what are his top pieces of advice, and finally, where can people find him? We freestyle a lot in between questions as normal. Really enjoyed recording this one with Kealan, found it very interesting. Hope you enjoy listening to it. Here we go. Hi, Kealan. Welcome to the Extreme Sports Performance Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me on.
So please can you just start by telling everyone who you are and what you do?
My name is Kealan McLaughlin. I'm a ballet dancer and I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Are most of your listeners in England or are they all over the world?
So most tend to be in the UK and the others are scattered across America and Australia.
So your British listeners might know Canada as being a former colony to the west, just if anybody needed an update.
So how long have you done this for? Where have you come from? And what have you done up until this point in time?
So I'm 32 and I've been dancing since I was 6 years old. So that was kind of part-time training as a kid up until 11 years old. From 11 to 19, full-time training. I went to a full-time ballet school where people will live at the school if they're from far away. It's a boarding house. You got academics and everything. So it's full-time, all-day training. And then since I was 19, I've been a professional dancer. So 13 years.
And could you give us some insights into the type of dancing you do, where you do it, and kind of what format that might look like?
I am predominantly a ballet dancer, but within the ballet framework, you will be asked to dance different styles depending on what the choreographer wants and what the piece is. So people who are non-dancers probably don't understand how ballet works because maybe they took classes when they were younger or their sister did or their aunt took ballet class and they don't realize that it's actually like a functional job you can be a part of. There's a whole industry and, thousands of people in the world getting salaried contracts to dance. And so if you're in a major city somewhere in the world, there's probably a ballet company doing Nutcracker right now as we speak, and Swan Lake and all these different types of shows. And that was my job, or that is my job.
So as an example of what you are doing or have been doing most recently, what does that look like?
So right now I'm a part of a show. It's an immersive show. So there's lots of really fancy tech and projections and AR stuff. And it's a 45-minute show. Once it starts, there's no break. You don't leave the stage and the people are sitting around you. And it's just like 45 minutes of cardio and partnering and lifting. And like my partner is a young woman who's a beautiful dancer and I'm just throwing her around and carrying her across the stage for 45 minutes, trying to elicit emotion in the people sitting around us.
Amazing. Fantastic. And what would you say the key moments of your career have been so far, if you can pick any out?
Injury has been a real teacher in my life. I've had 3 major injuries that all required at least a year to recover from. And it's interesting because even as I get older and I, I go through an injury at 17, and then I go through one at 20, and then I go through one at 30. I'm still as kind of daft, to borrow a British term. I'm still as daft to the healing process, it seems, every time. It's like each time I have to relearn how to heal, because when you get these ideas in your head of like, this is where my career is going, and this is the progression, and this is the momentum I need, and I have to hit these check marks at a certain pace, and then you get a setback, and you're like, well, I don't really have time for the setback, so I don't really have time to be injured right now. Mm-hmm. It's really humbling. But so injury has been a big one, and the moments when I've been hired, like regardless of the job you do, unless you're an entrepreneur, you're a self-starter, you need somebody to hire you. But in ballet, it's quite heightened because there aren't tons of ballet companies in every city. Like, you need to go where the work is. And so you might get a job offer in Japan or South Africa or Estonia or, and you just kind of go there. And so when a director offers you a contract, that's a really big life-changing moment for you, because it literally means you're probably changing your entire life and all that. So sure. I would say injuries and then the jobs I've been given have been really big factors in my life.
I'd love to dive into some more specifics about injuries. But first of all, just wanted to kind of ask you, when you first started dancing, what training helped you maximize your opportunity to dance as well as possible? Was it just purely specific dance work, or was there any kind of strength conditioning or physical fitness involved as well?
Because I've been dancing since I was such a young child, that answer will have evolved over time, right? At the beginning, when you're young, when you're a child, and it's mostly just strictly dancing, just learn the steps, kind of train the body, so you have a really basic foundation for what the moves are. As you get older, things get more extreme, especially for young men. When we start to actually do partnering, like if you see a ballet dancer or a group of male ballet dancers on the beach, let's say, and you see their bodies, they look athletic and slender, like slim and fit, but they don't look like jacked generally, right? Mm-hmm. Yet it's literally our job. Like when we're on stage, we're being paid to like lift human beings above our head all the time. And it's like really easy for us because coordination, but also a certain type of strength. So once you hit teen, you start doing a lot of kind of like core work, upper body stuff to be able to lift other human beings safely and carry them above your head for 20 minutes. And then as I got into actually dancing professionally in companies, I discovered there was a whole side to fitness, actually, not even a side. There was the whole world of fitness outside of just kind of ballet and the stuff I knew, which I started to tackle, which has helped me in my career kind of exponentially along the way. Things like cross training. I really like running. Sprint training, like drills, is so helpful because in dance, it's like a hurry up and wait type thing, whereas you have a really, really intense, like 1 minute of choreography. And then you have maybe 20 seconds where it's a bit more gentle. That 20 seconds needs to be recovery time so that you can do another 3-minute sprint. But if you've never trained that outside of it, it's way harder. Then your training is on stage and you don't want that. You want to be training off stage.
Fantastic. So what would your physical training look like now with all the experience you've had and all the things that you've learned, maybe mistakes you might have made and injuries you've had? What does your typical cycle of training look like, maybe leading up to a performance, during a performance, or after a performance?
So it really does depend on the repertoire I'm doing at the time. So if I'm doing an 8-hour workday 6 days a week at the ballet company, that's going to be really different than if I'm just freelancing and doing 3 shows a week. It's really different. So right now I'm freelancing, and so I'm not in rehearsal all day, every day, which is kind of part and parcel with being in a ballet company. You just automatically do 8 hours of exercise every day, right? Which is great. Getting paid to be in shape is awesome, but it's also really demanding. So the way I'm doing it now is a mix of things based on what the requirements of the performance that I'm doing are. So I do a mix of ballet class, which we can talk more about kind of what that looks like. But a ballet class is like doing your scales as a pianist, except it's way more physical, right? And all ballet dancers return to class forever. You never stop doing class. It's necessary. So that's a big one. like I said, running, sprinting, interval training. The philosophy I find I gravitate towards with fitness, with working out, is, whether this is right or wrong, I feel kind of pulled to this. I like something that messes me up. I like something where when I finish it, I'm kind of staggering home a little bit. And like, I don't quite, like, if you ask me my name, I might actually need a second. Like, I like that feeling, because then I know I did something. Like, I know I'm going to be better the next day. I know that I've pushed past my limits.
Sure.
And so much of my life is about seeking ways to get past my limits, right? So I don't really like running because I have asthma and I hate that, which has made me love running because it's pushing me to learn how to breathe properly, right? So a combination of body weight stuff, cross training, plyometrics, just really anything that'll mess me up is like, I'm in. Mess me up in a healthy way, in a sustainable way.
Sure thing.
And then for recovery is also a big part of it. A lot of foam rolling. I've got a slew of different balls that I roll with that feel really good. Icing, sauna, hot, cold contrast. I take cold showers every day, stuff like that.
Fantastic. So just to kind of zoom in a little bit more on one of those points you made there, could you just give us an idea of what your plyometric training might look like? Because I think our listeners would be really interested to know the specifics of those and how that might compare against the plyometrics that they do for their sports.
So ballet is plyometric in itself, right? Like jumping is a big part of what we do, especially as men. Like the big jumps are the reason why a lot of people come to see the ballet.
Yeah.
It's certainly my favorite part of watching dance, is when the guys jump like really high and do these crazy things with their legs. So aside from the fact that being in the ballet studio is plyometric training, on the outside, I do, like, I have just drills that I do that I've picked up. Things like explosive frog jumps. I don't know if we would use the same terminology, but frog jumps, burpees, because again, I hate burpees, so I love doing burpees.
Yeah.
I do love sprint training, box jumping,
yeah,
power-ups, things like that. But I like to do, like, again, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but what I gravitate towards is any movement I do, but also make it cardio. So I don't do a lot of like weightlifting, for example, because that's just laying on a bench and, pressing weight. I'm more interested in, can I do something that works the same muscle group, but also makes me want to throw up at the same time? Like, that's, to me, that feels like overall fitness.
So your training then, you try to basically mimic the physical demands from a strength point of view, from a movement point of view, from an energy system point of view, to kind of match what you're doing on the stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But beyond just match it, I want to exceed it. I want it to be harder.
Yeah.
So that when I'm on stage, it feels easy.
Sure. So I suppose all the hardest work's done in the training, so the performance is the easier part in a way. Basically,
I would say I don't want to swear, I would say the more unpleasant work is done in training off stage.
Yeah.
But when you're on stage, whatever energy you have, like, you're going to use it. So it's still real hard.
Got it. So you mentioned injuries have been a key moment of your career. Could you just give us an idea or an insight as to maybe why you think that they happened in the first place?
This is going to be a bit like inside baseball kind of thing. I don't know if that term translates to England, because baseball isn't such a big deal over there. But this is going to be a bit like in the weeds, but follow me on this journey. Ballet is very driven by an aesthetic, a certain aesthetic, right? And it's kind of this aesthetic that nobody can really match. Like, we know what the perfect body is, the so-called perfect body, and we're all just trying to get as close as we can to that. So even the people who have amazing bodies that you think, oh, this person's a God-given dancer, if you ask them, is there anything you're trying to hide or anything you're self-conscious about? They would have a list of like 15 things, guaranteed. So one of the things that's really important is the mobility and the kind of shape of the foot and ankle, right? If you've got, and I'm showing you, so the people at home listening can't see this, but I'm showing you, if your foot looks like this, like it doesn't bend down when you point, it doesn't end the line properly, and it's really going to hinder your career, because you got to have the right feet and the right like height and the right turnout and all these things. My feet are okay, but back when I was in school, they weren't great. Like, they really hadn't developed yet, and they were actually kind of becoming a problem. Like, because of the lack of mobility, I couldn't really get up on demi point, which is men don't dance on their toes, just for everybody at home. Men don't really do that. There's some companies where they do, but it's very specific to those companies. Most men don't do that. We go on demi point, which is like the balls of our feet. And you need to have certain range of motion to do that. And I didn't have that. And I was pointing and the line wasn't correct. And so I was a student trying to, like, I was aspiring to greatness, but I was hindered by this thing. And I would try to grip and point, push so hard. I pushed so hard that I got osteogonum, which is something that is really only afflicts ballet dancers and gymnasts because of the range of motion we use, where small bones on the inside of your ankle break off from the back of your heel. And those shards of bone float around the soft tissue in your ankle. And again, you're doing releves and pointing your feet and jumping. You need to not have sharp bone inside there. So it can be really, really painful.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I ended up getting surgery on both my ankles in my final year of high school, which kind of derailed my plans. And it came from this, physical limitation I had, but my attitude of forcing and trying to just muscle everything, like the idea of work smart, not hard. Yeah. I wasn't working smart. I was just working hard. Mm-hmm. And I worked so hard to the point where I literally broke the bones in my body. So there's one example of how the injury happened.
Sure.
And the most recent injury I had, which was about a year off, is I had a fractured sesamoid. So the small, very small, very, very small bone, the inside of my big toe on my supporting leg. So the leg where I'm always doing releves, like lots of pirouettes, my power leg, the leg that I need stable. I got a fractured sesamoid. Started as a stress fracture, but I kept dancing on it and dancing through pain. And so it became a full fracture. It'll never heal back. That's just part of my body now. And to compensate for that, on the same ankle, I got a 2-centimeter tear in my FHL, which is this big tendon that runs up, that kind of powers your big toe and runs up the outside of your calf. And all of this came from my first year in Estonia. I was in a new company. I was a principal dancer, so I was the highest rank. I was really excited, and I was given all of these roles, all this responsibility, and I didn't want to let anybody down. Simultaneously, the physiotherapy that we had access to was below standard. Like, if you're a high-performance athlete, you need a high-performance physio. You can't just have a regular somebody off the street who just got their accreditation. You need somebody who knows ballet, who knows what you do. Mm-hmm. The people I was seeing, unfortunately, weren't cutting it, and they weren't realizing that I needed a certain range of mobility in my ankles, which is where I need assistance. Like, I can't do it on my own. And they never helped me. And so I was dancing on really, really stiff ankles, which had no mobility. And if you don't have the right mobility, then your body has to compensate. And all of these small muscles and tendons are doing extra work and they're gripping. Meanwhile, your body's breaking down more and more and more. And lo and behold, I ended up having to take a year off. So,
wow. What is the kind of expected provision for like a big performance or a big production? A physio's a standard thing that you'd expect to be there?
If you're like a freelance artist, probably not. But if you're part of a major company or a major production, definitely physiotherapy. Ideally, it's good, like specialized physiotherapy, somebody who has a history in dance. Massage is a really big one as well. And then kind of increasingly, you're seeing machines and toys. Like you want to have an ultrasound machine. You want to have the those leg sleeves that like they compress the air. I forget what they're called. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. They're like the ones that we use or I use with my athletes. They're called Normatec recovery boots, or they like space boots.
Exactly. Yeah. That type of thing is becoming more and more prevalent.
Okay.
But yeah, if I were hired to a company and they didn't have a physio, like, ouch. Like and then you need to constantly be going outside to see it because
sure.
Our bodies are like vehicles. You need to see a mechanic,
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Really, really interesting. Do you feel that or have you seen or noticed a step towards or more visibility of strength and conditioning within professional ballet?
Yeah, actually. So on my podcast, I just interviewed a couple weeks ago a guy named Joseph Gotti, and he's fascinating. He's a ballet dancer. He's really, really, really good. Like one of the best ballet dancers in the world, like for sure. He's phenomenal. And he started his own company in Florida, and it's called United Ballet Theater. And his whole philosophy is that the way that we train dancers is incredibly lacking, right? Like, it's like the world of fitness has progressed so far, but the world of ballet is still ingrained in, well, this is how we did it in the 50s, and so we're going to keep doing it like that.
Yeah.
And there is movement towards incorporating more science, more high performance athlete awareness, right? But we're still kind of behind. Like
Yeah.
we're lagging behind. And so there is definitely a movement towards that, as you can see with companies like the Royal Ballet in London, one of the greatest companies in the world. They have an incredible team of physios and sports scientists, right? But because ballet is an art and therefore significantly less lucrative than Premier League soccer, we're not going to have the same level of like millions pumped into sports research and health science research. But it is coming. It is coming. Just it's a bit slow. And you got people like Joseph Gotti who are saying we need to catch up fast. And so that's a good sign.
I've noticed that. I know that there's lots of universities now that should looking into more research around performance arts and particularly ballet. And it's something I think is starting to pick up pace. But I agree, it's behind the curve, and it's not necessarily ballet's fault. It's just, I think, something that people have taken a long time to associate together with the demands of physical demands of what you do. So it makes sense, and it's also good to know that there's more specific specialist support maybe coming in the future.
Yeah, I hope so.
What would you say are the most valuable things that you've learned in your career, from a personal point of view, also from a professional point of view as a dancer?
Okay, so this is where I put on my like motivational speaker hat, because anything I say is like directly applicable to everybody. Like it's for everyone. It's kind of like a whole philosophy modality that's developing. I think we probably all have like a worldview that is constantly in flux, like constantly growing and shifting and adapting, right? Yeah. And a big part of the worldview that I'm developing, it's about how to get what you want out of yourself and in the world, right? Because if you wake up and you're not who you want to be, that sucks. And if you don't know how to get to where you want to be, that feels powerless. And if every time you step out into the world, you're shown nobody wants you and you can't get anything done, it's really defeating, right? Figuring out how to hack change and figure out what is the formula for influencing the change I want to see in my life is, I think, something that everybody would be thrilled to increase their awareness of, right? To feel better about. So you ask me, what are the most valuable things I've learned? The things that I've learned that I consider valuable are valuable because they assist me in creating the reality I want, right? Which I didn't like my reality at all when I was younger. Like it wasn't good. I was a bad dancer. I didn't have the right body. My school, the National Ballet School of Canada, supported me in some ways, but also let me know all the time, Kealan, you think you're a beautiful dancer, you've got potential, but you're never going to be the dancer you want to be. You're never going to have the career you want. You need to set your sights lower. I refused. Thankfully, I refused to believe that. And thankfully, I still do refuse to believe that. The actionable lessons that hopefully can be of benefit to other people are, first off, I think the greatest skill I have is work ethic. It really is remarkable, especially having had success, because like you can work really, really hard, banging your head against a wall and not get anywhere. And you banged your head the hardest out of anybody, but you didn't get anywhere. So it was useless. You just got a concussion. Having had success in the hard work. Now, when I look at other people, friends of mine who are younger, people coming into the companies brand new, I'm like, I know the places where you should put effort to differentiate yourself immediately. All right. So say you're watching a ballet class from the front and everybody's professional. They're all getting paid. You'll only see one person, maybe not even one, actually performing. Right. And when you do see that person performing, because we do ballet class every morning, when you see that one person performing, that's the only person you can watch, because everybody else is just going through the motions, thinking about their thoughts, wishing they had more coffee, they're distracted. But the person who uses every opportunity to grow and to say something and make themselves seen and heard and known is going to stand out. And it's so obvious when you watch it, right? Let's say I'm in a room full of dancers, just like if a runner is in a room full of runners, there's a good chance that they're not the most talented one there, right? Like in most rooms of professionals, I'm not the most talented, but I can confidently say, if any prospective employer wants to say, hey, what's your best quality? I can confidently say, if you hire me, I'll be in your top 5 hardest workers. And I say top 5 because I can't guarantee I'm the hardest worker. Yeah. You also need life balance. Some people might be insane and they just never leave the studio, but I guarantee I'm going to work harder than pretty much anybody here. And that's a guarantee. And I have confidence in that. So even if my boss in one place doesn't recognize it, it doesn't matter, because I'm growing. It serves me and I will achieve something greater anyways. Like it's only a matter of time, right? And the other piece is, like I said, you can bang your head against a wall endlessly and get nowhere.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
That's basically what I was doing up until I met a particular coach when I was 22, 23. We started working together. Up until that point, when my school said, hey, you're not really going to be very good, all this stuff, they were right, because I was like a kid with so much excitement, but like no discipline. And so I was just like running and jumping, like I was just expending energy all the time, but kind of in all directions. The idea of like the old light bulbs we used to use, that only 15% of the energy expended actually went to light creation. The other 85% went to heat creation. Oh. You're like, this is a waste of energy. This isn't what we're trying to do here. They iterated and iterated, and now we have smarter light bulbs. I was spending so much energy getting nowhere except for injuring myself, because if you do, they say practice makes perfect. I disagree. Perfect practice makes perfect, right? If you just keep repeating the same mistake, you're just training your body and probably hurting yourself. So I would say, one, you can pretty much do anything you want in the world. It's possible, right? It might not look exactly what you want it to, exactly the way you plan it. But if the goal is, I want to be a dancer, I want to be an athlete, whatever, you can do that. Be open to how the universe is going to let it play out. But you can, if you devote yourself entirely and look for every opportunity you can to improve, get a leg up, to, the idea of just pattern recognition. Can you notice things that other people don't notice and get that extra % of a bonus? And then the last piece is be relentless in seeking the exact help you need. Because that coach I started working with at 22, if I hadn't met her, my career wouldn't have really gone anywhere, because I don't think, because I would have just been banging my head against a wall until I finally gave up. But she gave me exactly what I needed. She saw my potential and she helped me exceed my potential. Just like the wrong physio can let you get injured, but the right physio can bring you back to health when people said it isn't possible, when nobody believed in it. So I would say the help you're looking for, or the help you need, is out there. It does exist. Be dogged, relentless in seeking it. And when you find help that you feel is subpar, keep looking. Like, don't give up. Don't give up and don't settle for less, because why? Like, it's it's possible to do what you want. It's possible to get the help you need. And everything I've achieved that's really of any value to me has been with a great deal of help, like a tremendous amount of help. So my effort plus the right wisdom from the right person, has allowed me to achieve everything I've achieved so far.
Amazing. That's a really fantastic insight, Kealan. And I think that can be applied to so many sports scenarios, people, ages, circumstances. Really, really good. I personally can really, really relate to that because I know lots of people. I don't like very many of them. I love very few of them, but there are, out of all of those, I suppose, ripples that I've just kind of alluded to, you know where to go to and when to go to them and why to go to them for help in life, with whatever it is. It becomes, for me, it's very obvious when those key people are in your life, whether it's just personally or professionally or for sport. It's very, very clear when they step into it, because things just change. I don't know how you can relate to that, but it's something maybe in your gut or something that you've never experienced before, but it's just different. But it's different in a way that you've never experienced, and then it just from there it just evolves.
And it feels to me like the difference that you're describing is between swimming upstream and swimming downstream. Like you can get there to the same place swimming upstream, but my God, it's so hard.
Yeah.
You meet the right person, all of a sudden, you've got momentum, things start to click. All that work starts to pay off. There is a greater degree of help than you're receiving right now. Like whoever's listening to this and whatever they're thinking of that they want to improve, there is somebody out there with an expertise that is greater, right? Like everything exists. So you just need to find somebody who knows how to get there, right? So, and if you see somebody, like one thing I think is a good metric or kind of a good guide for whether I want to explore working with somebody is, do I know somebody who raves about them? So when I had my injury, this last one with the sesamoid and the FHL, I actually came back to Canada from Estonia to see my physiotherapist here who had helped me before. Honestly, man, she didn't help me. She wasn't able to see how broken I was and totally conceptualize it and then see the whole pathway to my healing. Like she couldn't get it. And so I felt kind of screwed. And I was like, this was my person. This was my trump card was I'm going to fly home to Canada and get help. Didn't work. And what ended up clicking, I'll skip the parts that aren't necessary, but what ended up clicking was I was in Estonia, which is just a ferry ride from Finland and a short flight from Denmark and all these places. And I thought, I bet you one of these places has a guru, right? Has somebody who is amazing, because like you think if Jay-Z wants a physiotherapist, he just goes down the street. No, he gets the best of the best. And if the best of the best exists, then why aren't you getting the best of the best? Be more creative, be more relentless, go get it, right? And if that level of help exists for physio, doesn't it also exist for psychotherapy and relationship coaching and financial coaching? Like there is amazing help available. There is real wisdom in the world, because I think there's truth and then there's not truth. The closer you can get to truth, the better you're going to feel in every way. And so go find somebody who can see the truth more clearly than you. That's all it is. And so what I did is I started messaging my friends in Finland, Denmark, all these companies nearby, and said, hey, how's your physio? Do you have a guru in the company? And I got somebody saying, yeah, we do. He's really good. And guess what? He brought me back, and I was a better, stronger dancer than I've ever been. And it was because he could see what I needed. Like he saw where I was broken and lost, and he saw exactly how to get me back. And I did it under time. So the right help is maybe hard to find, but it's out there. So just keep going and like believe that it's possible, and don't settle for mediocre.
Amazing. Love that. We've experienced very similar things, and across a range of sports with a range of different athletes, range of different timelines. And the one thing that we've started to realize now, me personally, but also us as a company, is the older you get, the clearer the solution presents itself based on what you're not looking for, if that makes sense. Like everyone's always they're searching for what they're looking for. They're not trying to, I suppose, filter out what they're not looking for. And that makes a huge difference. I think almost the longer you've done something, the more you've experienced it, the processing around it happens in slower motion. And the mistakes that you may have made in the past, or the bad experiences you had before, you can kind of almost see them coming next time. The more experienced you are with something, the more immersed you are in it, the more you can filter out the things that you don't need or aren't going to help you. And I think having someone around you or near you, like a guru that you found, they only accelerate that process. But it's a really rare occurrence. But when you find it, it clicks. It's amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've got a quote for that. Good judgment comes from experience, but experience comes from bad judgment. So you make a dumb mistake when you're 16, you're going to be a lot smarter when you're 26. So I'm totally with you.
Awesome. So last couple of things I'd love to talk to you about, Kealan, about nutrition. How important is that to you personally, professionally, and what does it look like? Has it evolved over time? Have you customized a specific lifestyle around what you eat, or have you found your own specific diet that you have to follow to be at your best?
Yeah, so my diet has changed a lot. Like I started off just eating a lot of cereal. Like breakfast was just 6 bowls of cereal every day. You know, like I'm a big guy. I'm like 188 centimeters. That's 6'2" in American, like 190, 195, sometimes closer to 200. So I'm like a pretty big dude. And I was just eating kind of like not garbage, because it was like the healthy cereals, but it's still cereal, still processed sugar. And I went and saw a personal trainer one summer when I knew I had a big season coming up, and I was like, I need to get with a personal trainer and really get fit. And our first session, I threw up, and he was like, "What'd you have for breakfast?" And I was like, this is 3 bowls of multigrain Cheerios. And he was like, "Okay, so first off, you need to learn about eggs. You need to learn about protein and the right intake windows." And revolutionized my whole life. Like I literally was like a little baby, like I eat toast. And then as an athlete, and I'd like never thought about protein and stuff like that. So at least I hadn't thought about really healthy eating. So it's evolved. I would say the way I approach nutrition is that I'm much more conscious of getting the right things in and not so conscious of keeping the bad stuff, so-called bad stuff, out. So like,
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
a couple of days ago, I had to sit in front of my computer a couple of days ago all day, and I ate almost a whole bag of cookies, and it didn't feel great, and it probably wasn't a good decision, but I wasn't concerned because I know I'm going to go run 5 miles, and so it's going to be like whatever, But did I get enough protein that day and enough vegetable intake and all that? That's what I'm more concerned with. Sure. So to me, as long as I'm getting what I need, then the other stuff, as long as I'm still fit and my body looks good and feels good and I can perform at a high level, I'm not worried. Yeah,
so you're balancing the right balance in a way.
It's really just, did I get enough of all of the different levels? Like, did I eat a solid amount of vegetables today and have a bunch of fruit and a bunch of protein? Okay, then I'm probably good. And was it generally healthy? Did I have an A&W burger yesterday? Yeah, I did. Did I have French fries? I did. Yeah. But also I had tofu and rice beforehand. And so I know I got somewhere in there was everything I needed, and my body will figure it out. Yeah, sure.
There's not a perfect scenario fit for anyone, for any athlete of any level. Like, you have to aim as high as you can to get things done, the best quality, but just logistics, practicalities, life situations, environments, like the perfect diet doesn't exist. So we always say that aim for an 80-20 balance of good versus bad. And then if it comes down to 70-30, fine. But, don't aim for a 60-40 because it's probably going to end up being the way around. You have to be realistic with how you approach it. But I think one thing we've noticed is awareness and education is key. And also, having some form of plan in place, or at least a thought process. Okay, so today I'm going to be here. I'm going to be going to these places and doing these things. What might be available for me? Is there going to be good stuff that they'll provide? Am I going to need to bring my stuff with me? that makes such a huge difference. And yeah, it requires more effort, but it's such a huge change to your energy levels, to your mood, and how you feel, and also ultimately how your body works and performs.
I'll say as well, I've been a vegetarian for a year and a half, and
Yeah.
I've been doing intermittent fasting. So basically, I just skip breakfast. I like to do a 14-hour fasting window at least every day, what I aim for. And I've been doing that for 2.5 years, and I love it. And I found once I started doing the intermittent fasting, my body leaned out just like it just made a huge difference.
And how important is hydration to you?
It's important. I used to actually do this thing where I would drink 6 liters of water per day, because I looked up, this was back when I was at a company called Ballet. We would rehearse every day. We'd work from 9:30 to 6, and I was really just sweating the whole time. Like, I was so active. I would eat 4 full meals per day, huge meals. And I looked up on my Google, what is the average recommended intake of water for a male? And it was like 3 liters. And I was like, cool, I'll double it. And so every day I would drink 6 liters.
Yeah.
And look, I was in a better mood, and my body didn't hurt so much. But also 6 liters a day is like borderline unsustainable. So I don't recommend that to most people. So I would just say, hydration in general.
Yeah.
Hydration in general, just drink enough water, people. Like, be smart about it.
Having some near you is a really good step. Yeah. Because you see it and it reminds you to drink it. And there's so many people who come in and ready to train, and they look awful, and they feel awful, and not that all the reasons, but most, at least a third of the reasons are because they're dehydrated, or it's because they've not eaten properly, or it's because they've not slept properly.
Yeah.
Something to do with not their training recovery balance not being right.
So one thing, when I was doing the 6 liters a day, what I would do is I would do like a liter in the morning before work, 4 liters at work, and then a liter after work. And I would just bring a 4 liter, so like a gallon of water every day, and I would just fill that up, and I would look at it every day and go, I have to drink that while I'm at work. Like, I have to finish it before I enter my home. Sometimes I'd be sitting outside my house, like finishing it before I could go inside, because that's the rule. So if you're trying to increase your hydration, let's say you want to be drinking 3 liters a day, have at least a 1.5 liter water bottle with you, full all the time, so that when you're drinking it, you don't just do sips. You're like, oh yeah, right, I have to finish this thing. I might as well just glug glug. Yeah. And it's that, like, because if you have to go to the water fountain to refill it, you're not going to the water fountain to refill it. No. You're going to get distracted. So
positive triggers, like, if you can have a positive trigger to solve, a connection to a problem by having water in front of you to drink, it'll lead to a positive outcome. If you don't, it won't. I've started to ask lots of people this generally, because it's one of the areas that I'm most fascinated with, and that is about sleep. How important is sleep to you, and how do you try to maximize it?
I try to get a solid amount. I live in a Buddhist temple right now, and so we're up at 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. 5 days a week to meditate, and so my sleep schedule is all over the place. I nap quite a bit right now because my schedule permits. If I'm getting up early, I can take a nap. I try to get 8 hours, but it's tough. So I don't know. People out there, just try to get good sleep. I don't know what to say.
It's one of those things where I think it's important to everybody, but everyone's situation and environment just really does dictate how much they get and how good it is. Like, I don't think I've ever met anyone who's had perfect sleep ever. Yeah. You just have to try your best to get as much as you need. The best advice I've ever heard is trying to cycle it in 90-minute cycles, and trying to average for 5 to 7 of those 90-minute cycles in a 24-hour period. So there's a lot of research that conflicts power naps. Some say it's good, some say it's bad, but averaging 7.5 to 9.5 hours is hard, and especially with hectic schedules for performers, travel time change, etc. Late performances, like athletes who have to perform at 8, 9, 10 p.m. have lots of caffeine stimulants to get them ready. It's really difficult, but yeah, cycling 90-minute chunks of sleep has really helped me out personally. When I used to when I used to play rugby, and I think a lot of people that I've mentioned that to as well find that it helps too. So maybe a different way to think about it in the future.
I'll take a 90-minute nap today. How about that?
Good, great. Thanks for taking that advice. Just to finish off, Kealan, what would you say your top pieces of advice are for people listening to this podcast who maybe in a similar position to where you were many years ago when you were first starting out, or are in the similar position to you right now? What would you say you could advise them? Any tips that could maximize their opportunity to increase their performance, minimize their injury, just enjoy life more?
Be the hardest worker you know, and align yourself with experts. That's it. Like, I'm not going to give ballet specific advice because this isn't a ballet themed podcast. Anybody can do it that way. Like, whatever you're trying to do. And even if you live out in the bush in Australia and there's nobody around you, but you want to be a marathon runner, okay, well, YouTube, Google it, get some money together, pay for somebody's course online. Like, just align yourself with experts. It's like the sun. You want sun? Go be outside. Go be near the sun. Your body will absorb all the good stuff, right? Like, just be near it. The more you can take in that wisdom, the more it's going to influence you.
So you alluded to a while ago that you have your own podcast. Could you tell everyone a little bit more about that and where they can maybe listen to it?
Sure. It's called 22 Guys, as in the number like two guys. It's a play on words. Maybe it's not such an effective name if I have to explain it. But it's great. 22 Guys, we talk about dance. We talk about, we're trying to lift the veil on what is often a secretive art form. You know, you can't really get a look in unless you're totally devoted. So we're trying to make it more accessible. And I've alluded to in the stories of my youth that there was a lot of hardship, a lot of struggle. And so I'm trying to help other young people and their parents and their families not struggle so much and just have an easier time of it. So check us out. We're on all the platforms. You can check me out on Instagram at Kealan McLaughlin. You're welcome to do that. Hit me up. And if you're anywhere that has good ballet around you, just like go see a show, like try it out.
Awesome. I'm sure there's lots of listeners have really enjoyed everything you've spoken about today, and they might have some follow-up questions. So if people wanted to get hold of you, what's the best way they can do that?
Probably message me on Instagram would be the best way, or you can email the podcast because we take emails that way. Yeah, find me on social media.
And what's your Instagram handle?
At Kealan McLaughlin.
Okay, bro. And the podcast?
At 22 Guys.
I'll put those in the show notes for everyone listening. And
appreciate it.
Please, everyone, just click the links below if you wanted to check those out. But Kealan, I'd just like to thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed our chat, and thanks for coming on.
It's been a pleasure, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the 37th episode. We hope you enjoyed the show. It would really help us out if you could please leave a rating and or review on whatever platform you're listening on. Be sure to check out our website, www.extremesportsperformance.com, that has details about our consultancy services, our in-person and online store, our in-person and online education, our media pages, our contact details, and how to subscribe for free to stay informed about company news and updates. Join our social media community on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Links to these can be found at the bottom of all pages on our website and via any search engine. Until next time, take care.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No